How much does what you believe affect how we take care of ourselves? It affects it quite a bit. Why? Well, because what we believe influences how we feel about ourselves and whether we feel that we are worthy enough to take care. On today's Stress Talk with me, Marcyline, we're going to talk about the mindset and the 5 powerful mindset habits that boost well being for mature women. And I'm going to get to it in just one moment. Welcome, 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 ladies who are watching live and those of you who are watching via the replay and listening to the podcast. I have a few questions for you. Are you a woman over 40? Do you feel depressed, anxious, or both? Do you feel overwhelmed by your roles as mother, daughter, adult daughter of aging parents, wife? And is work causing you to feel overworked and overstressed? Well, I get it. I was there too. Until I transformed the way I saw myself and how I interacted with the world around me. I'm Marcelyn Bailey, and this is Stress Talk. And we share what we've learned to help guide you as a woman over 40 to live your best life. Today, we are talking about 5 powerful mindset habits that boost well being for mature women. And we're going to get to it in just a second. Let's see. Let me get to my spot where I can. Here we go. Okay. We're just going to jump right into it if that's okay with you. If you have any questions, any comments, just pop them in the comment section and I'll be glad to answer them if I can. Thank you for the heart. I appreciate it. I appreciate your watching today. Okay, so let's talk about mindset. What is mindset? We hear that a lot, right? I know that teachers are going through mindset training. Therapists have been talking about mindset for quite a while now. So, what exactly is mindset? Yeah, corporations too. Corporations have been talking about mindset. So, what is it? Why are we talking about it and what is it? Well, basically, mindset is a set of beliefs that really direct how we interact with the world around us, as well as how we interact with ourselves. Think about that. That's pretty kind of a involved definition, but it's about how we interact and what directs us to interact with ourselves and with others and with the environment in the way that we do. It drives our understanding and our interpretation of what we see, what we hear, what we touch, what we smell, as well as what we taste, right? So I could go in, let me explain a little bit about that. Our mindset about things, about how we interact with the world and we see ourselves, how we interact with ourselves, is influenced by or I'm sorry, it influences the way we understand and interpret things. Let me give you an example, if I can. Um, Taste. Now, I grew up in a household where we were encouraged to try different foods and to try different foods cooked in different ways. That was just the household that I grew up in. Well, I grew up in a household that liked things like greens, collard greens, okra, peas. My parents were from the South, and so they brought their culture with them. Well, I don't like okra. As a matter of fact, I detest okra. I can't stand okra. I don't care if it's boiled, fried. I just don't want it. I don't like it. I don't like the texture. So as a kid growing up, my mother, because she knew I didn't like okra, would cook it separately because everybody else in the house loved okra. So she wouldn't add it to the peas. She wouldn't add it to the collards. She would cook it separately. And she would always offer it to me, and she allowed me to refuse it, which I did every time because I hate okra. Well, fast forward, I'm an adult and I go to New Orleans. Went to New Orleans a number of times for on business, and New Orleans has gumbo, seafood gumbo. And it's gumbo is just a something you throw everything in it, right? You throw it all stuff in it, whatever's in your kitchen, basically you throw it in there and you make the gumbo. It's like a soup or a stew. Well, on this one particular visit to New Orleans, I was eating gumbo and I was enjoying it and I loved it. And guess what? I discovered there was okra in it. There was okra in the gumbo. Remember, I just said I detest okra. I can't stand it. I won't eat it. My mindset was it doesn't taste good. The texture is bad and I don't want it. Well, I was visiting New Orleans. I was eating that gumbo, discovered it had okra, and guess what? I finished it because it was so good. My mindset shifted to where I enjoyed okra in gumbo. I even enjoy okra in soup now. Before I wouldn't eat it at all because of that belief, that set of beliefs that I had about okra. Don't like the way it looks, don't like the way it feels, don't like the way it tastes. The texture is gummy, it's awful. But in soup and in gumbo, it was delicious for me. So a mindset is a set of beliefs. So let me ask you, what's another way of saying mindset without saying mindset? Anybody have any ideas about that? I'll give you a couple of seconds. If you don't want to post it, just think about it. How would one say mindset without saying mindset? I'm sipping on green tea today, by the way. Okay, so let me give you some examples of how you would say mindset without saying mindset, or how you would explain it. Have you heard this phrase? You know how she is, or you know how she is, or you know how she is. It's basically the same thing, although I'm using different emphasis on different words. You know how she is. Another way to say mindset without saying mindset is that's just her, or that's just him. How about this? That's little Johnny for you, or that's Uncle Bob for you, or that's Uncle Mary for you. Have you heard phrases like that? What about this one? Well, you should have known. And another one that we say all the time, but we don't necessarily connect it to mindset. What's the phrase? It's a very famous phrase. I'm going to share it with you. It says, you can't teach an old dog a new trick. That's because they have a mindset that is fixed, not changeable, not as a fixed mindset as opposed to a growth mindset. So Carol Dweck, who's a Stanford University psychologist, has studied mindset, and she has come up with all kinds of theories that we are learning about and using now. There are two types of mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Basically, if a person has a fixed mindset, they believe that the traits are fixed and they can't be changed. So if you have talent or intelligence, or if you're intelligent, your talent and intelligence will determine your success. And it doesn't matter how much effort you put into it. It's God given, and that's why you're successful. A growth mindset is that talent and abilities can be learned over time or developed over time. As long as you work at it, you're persistent and you put effort towards it. There's a belief if you have a growth mindset, you could become smarter because you can learn more facts, and you can become talented because you can perfect certain skills. So that's mindset. And I don't want to take a lot of time today to talk about mindset, but I wanted to definitely share what mindset is because that's what we're talking about today. So that's mindset, a set of beliefs that direct how you interact with the world and with yourself. And it also drives our understanding of what we see, think, hear, feel, taste, and smell. Whatever data or information that's coming to us through our five senses, our mindset is going to help us to understand it and interpret it. So let's go to the mindset habits that I believe are very, very important for women over 40, especially women over 40 who want to boost their well-being. And remember, when we've talked about well-being, we're not just talking about physical health. Yes, well-being encompasses physical health, but we're also talking about our environment and how, again, we interact and react to our environment. We're talking about our interactions with people, our interactions with others, our emotional well-being, our mental well-being, as well as our spiritual well-being. That's what we're talking about when we talk about well-being, not just physical, but all of the other things. So there are 5 habits that I want to share with you, and I believe that that these 5 habits are very key as you're thinking about your mindset. Okay, the first is to pay attention. And when we pay attention to something, we want to pay attention on purpose. How many times have you had a conversation where you're not really listening or attuned to what's being said because you're thinking about your response? How am I going to respond to this? And so you start thinking about answers. You start thinking about how you're going to say it. You continue to think about how the person is talking to you because you want to say the correct answer, the right answer for the moment, right? And you've lost probably a, a large amount of the conversation, the communication that's being given. So one of the habits that we want to adopt is to pay attention. We want to not just pay attention to the other person, we want to pay attention to ourselves. We want to take note of our automatic thoughts, those thoughts that jump into our head without us being conscious of them. There are thoughts that go through so quickly that we don't know we've even had the thought, but we feel the feeling. So you want to begin to take note of your automatic thoughts and to connect them to feelings, those feelings that you start to feel and you're like, why am I feeling this way? So take note of your automatic thoughts. Also, pay attention to your body. When you're interacting, or when you're in an activity that you're at work or you're in a conversation, you want to pay attention to your body. Do a body scan. You can start with your feet. You can go all the way up to your head. When you're doing a body scan, you just want to pay attention and notice if you're having any tightening in your muscles. Are you clenching any part of your body? Has your heartbeat changed? Is it beating harder and faster? Are you perspiring? What is going on while you're engaged in this activity? You want to know that because that will give you a measure of your stress response. Has your stress response kicked in? And are you experiencing it physically? Because oftentimes the stress response has kicked in and we don't pay attention to it. However, if we pay attention to what's going on in our body, we will definitely have a measure and a means to take notice of that stress response. So there are two things we want to pay attention to: our automatic thoughts, our body, what it's feeling, and then you want to connect it. All of that, you want to connect your thoughts, your feelings to your physical reactions. Those automatic thoughts, which cause your feelings, and the physical reactions that were also a result. So, one habit that you want to start with, that you want to adopt, especially as it relates to mindset, is you want to pay attention intentionally. You want to purposefully and purposely pay attention to what's going on, not only in your mind, but in your body as well. And then you want to connect them. The next habit is you want to stay in the present moment. As I said before, oftentimes when we're talking to someone, we're trying to figure out how we're going to answer. So we miss the communication. So we want to once we're paying attention, we want to, I keep hitting the same button, I'm sorry. We want to be in the present moment. We want to become engaged in only what is in front of us. We don't want to think about what we did 2 seconds ago. We want to engage with what is in front of us. Only thing. So I'm a little distracted right now. So I'm not fully engaging with the camera and with you all. So I apologize. I'm a little distracted. So I'm going to get my focus back. So when we're in the present moment, we're engaging with and we're only dealing with what's in front of us. And we want to make sure that we are paying attention on purpose to all of our 5 senses: what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we touch, and what we taste. Why? Because our 5 senses can distract us. What we hear can distract us. What we taste can distract us. What we see can distract us. What we smell can distract us. And it only takes a second to become distracted. So we want to focus our attention on the present moment as much as possible and deal and engage with only those things that are in front of us. Okay? So, we've talked about 2 habits that relate to mindset. The first one was to pay attention on purpose. And then the second one was to be in the present moment. Our third one is to act non-judgmentally. To act non-judgmentally. And when we're talking about judgmentally, we're talking about opinions that are born out of fixed mindsets, critiques, evaluation, assessment, appraisal. This is something that we do a lot all day long, right? Well, we have to assess and evaluate things in our work or at home. The question is, are we doing it because it's a habit? Are we forming opinions and critiques and evaluating performance because it is a habit? Do we do it because it makes us feel good? Do we do it out of necessity? Or do we do it out of habit? These are things that when we act non judgmentally, it will help us with our health. All of these habits that I'm talking about now will help us. When we're judgmental, judgment actually raises our stress levels because our mind thinks we're somehow under attack or where something is wrong when we're judgmental, and it starts acting accordingly. It triggers the stress response. So the third habit is to be not non-judgmental. So we also want to show self-understanding. And when I talk about self-understanding, I'm talking about knowing what makes you tick. What makes you get up in the morning? What makes you act the way you act? What makes you think the way you think? What causes the belief system that you have? How is your mindset wired? Self-understanding is having knowledge and an understanding of your values, beliefs, your thoughts, and your actions. It's a very important thing to have. It's a habit that we need to cultivate, self-understanding. Because when we have self-understanding, then we can understand, I hate using that word repeatedly, but we can understand how and what triggers us and why it triggers us. We can also take that self-understanding and use it for growth in all areas of our lives. Okay? So it is important to cultivate self-understanding. And last but not least, the fifth mindset habit that helps us to boost our well-being as women over 40 is wisdom. Hopefully, as we grow older, we are gaining in wisdom. Wisdom, when we're gaining in wisdom, we are allowing our experiences, our knowledge, as well as our sound judgment to direct our actions, right? All of those things is what comprises wisdom: experience, knowledge, and sound judgment. And when we allow that, our wisdom, to direct our actions, then we can be safe, stable, and secure. And that is the bottom of the pyramid, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs: safe, stable, and secure. We want to be safe. And when we're safe, stable, and secure, then what? Our stress levels are lower. Our health is better. And we interact with people in a meaningful way because we are safe, stable, and secure. So I've just talked about the 5 mindset habits that women over 40 need in order to boost their well-being. I know this because I've practiced it myself. These are habits that I've incorporated into my life, and I've found that it has done a great deal to keep my stress levels down, and I feel healthier. So, what are we going to talk about next week? We're going to talk about the keys to a healthier lifestyle. Do you have your car keys? We don't have car keys now. We have a key fob that boop, boop, opens our car. Do you have a house key? A lot of us still have house keys, but some of us have doop, boop, 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 digital ways to get in the house. Well, we're going to talk about the keys, the building blocks to a healthier lifestyle next week. If you hopped on late, feel free to watch the replay on Facebook and on YouTube. And keep watching. This is just one in a number of streams that we're going to be doing and talking about. Remember, this month is Wellness Month. Wellness Month, but we've expanded it to well-being so that we're not only encompassing talking about our physical health, we're talking about our mental health, our emotional health, as well as our spiritual health. Well, that's it for now. I'm glad you showed up. Hope to see you soon. I'm Marcyline Bailey, and as always, take good care.